Commonwealth Games, as every major games, provides one distinct advantage. Mike Chamberlain will attest to this, because he has the most difficult job as any active partnership lead in any city and sub-region, pulling together all the sum parts to deliver a whole sport and community offer. The community campus was developed because in Manchester people were not working together, and every single time they came together had to be for a major event or for a major tragedy. The event was when everybody came together. The legacy of the event was normally when the young people who did not have the opportunity saw tragedy, and then everybody came together looking at the cause and the effect that led to the situation everybody then had to resolve or had to fix. It's just a youth and community model. By the way, not by way of simply an idea, but students from our international student intern program did dissertations and PhDs and masters. Peter Raymond did a master's on NGOs. But that means nothing if it doesn't translate into how you apply it, in what you do, how you do it, and how we measure the impact. How many are using a form of impact assessment on the work that you do? That's too small representative of all that you achieve and all you're contributing to in that impact. The social, cultural, and economic impact is an investment, because grants, I argue, are no longer grants. They're granted to you, but there's an expectation of return. And the only way you're sustainable, rather than chasing the money, which I say distracts from you being able to engage the young people you're committed to, is to be able to come up with an approach such as what we're looking at here. That's been a legacy of opportunity over many years, but it's only now beginning to take shape, not because it's groundbreaking, because of the situation where we're seeing limited resources, which means people are looking for more effective and efficient evidence of impact. In London, there are 200 organisations like yourselves, all doing this work. I would say that's too many, because when you go to the big investment, they say in educational terms, it's not working. And by the way, any of you aware of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals for 2030? It's just a yes or a no. It helps me on the basis of who knows and who needs to know. That's the global benchmark we use. Every single community should know how those goals could and should develop their lives. So we've used that as a global benchmark. Quality education, good health and well-being, peace and justice, sustainable cities and communities, decent work and economic growth, reduced inequalities, partnerships for goals. Single most important factor to make all of those goals work, and that becomes the ecosystem. That's 7 from 17 goals, all for sport for development, all designed to allow us to frame, model, and provide the impact of the approach. It supports collaborations and partnership. It allows everything that we deliver in the community campus groups. It's just a unified network. It brings you all together. You're all a movement. You are all doing great work. Do you share that great work? How often do you get a chance to come together like this and be able to share the work from a platform for you, with you, and developed as a result of you? The ability to map, track, and measure is why we're now seeing a lot of investment houses. By the way, how many of you got a young talent that's walked through or walked into your project and you're going, they've got it? Whatever it is you look for, you know, what is it? What's that thing you look for?
In this day and age, I think it's obviously the raw talent that comes with the mentality and everything you've spoken about there, that comes from, a lot of times, from their streetwise nature and everything else that they can then show.
Streetwise. By the way, Mike, what was your social environment like?
I was brought up in a nice little village in South Staffordshire, and I was taken to Heath Town and introduced to judo when I was 8 years old. That was a very different environment, and that's the environment I and trained in and partly lived in. For
Product of the environment, but still Olympian, went to major games, because in the rough and tumble of judo, you have to step up. Whatever your environment, there's a whole meeting of social and cultural experiences, just from a gender standpoint.
Yeah, same. I think I was introduced to sport when I was about 4, and it's swimming, and yeah, I had everything that I needed from that stand.
By the way, I'm being told that sport has to be delivered within a cultural enclave at the expense of all the other diverse cultures that are brought together. Just asking you as a comment, so I'm putting it out there.
I was brought up in Ireland, only black kid in the school, so I started boxing.
To defend yourself?
Yeah, so box, combat's what I teach, that's what my community, I teach MMA, I'm 3 times world champion now, I've been all around the world. So yeah, product of my environment brought out, I'd say, a diamond sort of thing, so yeah, pressure.
We'll dance at some stage, because as you looked at me and I looked at him, we had an exchange. Because that's what it's all about. That's the primal instinct. I'm still dancing, right? This week, last week, I'm 67. You're supposed to go, ooh. No, nothing given here. All got to be earned. Fair enough. What I'm saying is lifelong. Everything you're doing are sowing seeds of greatness. Everything you're sowing will see something that will develop that characteristic that sees all the time, energy and effort that you commit to the young people you are responsible to or for, will see them become the best that they can be through sport to develop in life. Everything here from facilities and stakeholders. How many of you use this stadium within its current offer? Apart from coming for a workshop, have you been here? Have you used it? Any students?
Yeah, we get invited by Sport Birmingham, to be honest.
There you go. They're the invite. They're the brokers. They're the facilitators. They bring this all to life. We just provide a youth and community model, a framework, a leadership program, and the social coaches, which you'll learn about later, because you're all social coaches. But there's never been a term or definition given to you that's accredited, that's recognised and respected. Youth work, leadership programs are no longer being offered in universities because youth workers have no longer been engaged in local authorities. It's not a statutory provision. Another thing we might want to sign a declaration to, a statutory provision for everything that you provide. Not when they get in trouble or are disaffected, but as a fundamental right. You know that youth services are no longer in Birmingham. How do you feel about that?
Shit. Yeah.
Thank you. Especially if you've got a bull for Birmingham, it becomes the bringing of the 2 words together. Word association, language, culture. But these are not good things for a legacy host city. As the deputy chair of those games, there was one of the fundamental legacy pillars that sport and physical activity be made available in participation to young people, especially from areas of historical deprivation and disadvantage. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Right. Again, I'm here because that legacy pledge has not been delivered. It was supposed to improve the lives of 1 million children and young people. Do we have the evidence as to whether that's worked or not? Mike?
There'll be some reports. And just to remind people, so the legacy funding for the games was a total of 10 million. I don't know what the budget for the games was, Jeff. I can't remember. You all know.
1.5 billion.
So the legacy fund was 10 million, and it came almost 6 months at a point no earlier than 6 months before the games. That was distributed broadly, 4 million into the place, into the West Midlands Combined Authority region largely, and 6 million divvied up between the 19 sports NGBs. And it was almost sort of, well, let's make what we can late on and do some good. There has been some continuation of that. There's been a small tail off because of the underspend from the games that went into the West Midlands Combined Authority.
Yeah.
And then that's a bit of a mystery of what's happened to a large part of that funding.
I'm sorry, the underspend was 100 million. You got 12 million. I'm saying per head per population, that's not what I signed up to, but I know what I signed off. this where you make the case. You have to make a well-reasoned case. You have a right to ask what has happened to it. Was anyone else in receipt of any money from that fund? Anyone here received monies from that fund?
Inclusive fund.
Inclusive fund, yeah. You got money from it. Okay.
That was the underspend rate, wasn't it?
The underspend, I'm sorry. The underspend.
Okay, so where's the 88 million gone then?
It's a wonderful question. I can't answer that, by the way, which I should be able to give that response. That's why I'll be asking for it on your behalf.
And remember, out of that 12 million, that was for wider culture. So the percentage that actually hit what we would identify as community sports is not known to me, but it would be a very small percentage.
But we do have a right to ask and have a reasonable answer because it comes through your taxes and your lottery tickets. That's fact. It's really important because unless you're aware, unless you become a movement that's aware, unless you can provide the evidence, but how does that improve what you do without you having to fill in the paperwork? Because when you get the grants, you've got to fill in the reports so you get more grants, and Mike has to ensure the money he gets for the city actually has evidence of the impact for the city. But we found a way in which we can do that, which is why we wanted to start here. Because this is the latest in the Games journey. By the way, this started in 2002, Manchester Commonwealth Games, the most diverse and inclusive games in recent times. That is the model, that is the framework, that is the matrix of impact.
Jeff, you're only allowed so many Manchester references in one day.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah.
So who's the
I
second
think I'm with
city?
you.
I'm just
Can I ask you a question?
warning you, Jeff.
Who's the second city now?
Birmingham. What?
No, Manchester's the second. London's the capital and Birmingham's the first city.
There was always a rivalry between Manchester and Birmingham as to who the second city was. I'm
Not
just
here.
asking the question
No
because I like to
rivalry
disrupt.
here.
Birmingham.
No, I'm from Wolverhampton. Dandelions. But major games are predominantly there to lift the global profile of a city, attract inward investment that has social, cultural and economic impact. BCU have made an investment into this stadium. It's an investment, but you all have to be seeing this as a resource that you can use. The combat sporter needs your presence, that's all I will say. There's a lot here. The basketball provision should definitely be delivered as a satellite here. But that's what the campus should become, a community. Notice I've not filled it in because it's your blank canvas. It's your canvas. Hopefully today you may decide this is how you as a collective can achieve everything you all need to achieve and wish to achieve, because you are representative of the youth and community delivery in this city. And it is a great city, beyond no illusions. Every one of you saw that during those games. Even the weather was blessed in your favour. Same happened in Manchester. Sorry, same happened up there.